Welcome back to OG's community. Meta Joe. Nice to see you here again.
Hey, everyone. Glad to have you guys on this session. Really, we had a good time, I think, with Joey and Jawad and Meta John as well. Really happy to be back for a second round, just to cater for the different set of community members from a different time zone. Come and join us, have fun, and I'm looking forward to the questions that you guys have. So be prepared so that I can also answer some of your queries later.
Sure, sounds good. Okay. So I guess everyone here who have not heard the earlier session would be really interested to know more about yourself. So would you want to introduce yourself?
Cool. First of all, my name is Joseph, or you can call Meta Joe, and I'm actually one of the founding members for METAHORSE. I think coming from the background, I am actually myself a gamer. I used to play a lot of PS4, and the only game I played for the last 3 years is really just FIFA. I've never really played any other game on PS4, and I have gotten a lot of negative feedback from my friends asking me, so you buy a PS4 just to only play one game for the whole year? And and I've been doing that for 3 years. I think that just really relates back to the kind of hobbies that I have growing up. Growing up, I play a lot of football and futsal. And I guess it comes back to the passion that I have for the sports, and it comes back to the game that I play as well. And I think that's the case in terms of why and how I get myself into where I am today. It is just an interest in the crypto space about blockchain technology and stuff. And I was just having a chat with a friend back in Malaysia, and he was just highlighting to me, and he was saying things like, I have friends in my category of age where we are in about 40s or 50s, and we're thinking about getting NFTs for our grandchildren, and it's hard for them to understand typically what this whole NFT is all about. I mean, the layman term, we call it the non-fungible tokens, but it's really something difficult to understand for some people in what's really NFT is all about. So I guess that's the idea that it came about in terms of how we can actually do an NFT that actually represent some form of status. Hence the idea of METAHORSE, and I think the idea of owning the horse as compared to owning a different set of animals really bring the kind of status behind the representation. So that's really the idea of why we started METAHORSE. And I think really excited to see how it goes for both of us here from now.
It's very nice, Joseph. So I think one thing perhaps that you may have left out is what do you do in terms of in METAHORSE?
Okay, so I'm actually the Chief Growth Officer. What my role entails primarily is anything to do that growing the project, whether it comes from talking to partners, talking to investors, or even building the community. So I think if you were to summarize, the role itself is really growing the project from point one to point another point, I guess, taking it to the next level. So on the day-to-day, what I usually do is first thing first is to really check on my phone notifications and showing that I reply the more important messages, and then I'll move on to my emails, checking in to see any new partners, inquiries. Otherwise, then I'll go on to spend some time on LinkedIn, looking on different individuals posting related to NFTs or crypto, and I think that's really it. And then from there, I'll just set up meetings with other partners to meet up face to face or whether online to discuss ideas and plans on strategies on how we can support one another. I think that's really my role in METAHORSE in terms of what I do.
Yeah, I can see that it's not an easy thing. You make it sound like, oh, it's this, that, but there's so many things. There's so many
Yeah.
people that you need to connect with different background, different business, right? It's hard to keep up sometimes, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Exactly. So I guess this brings us to this question, right? Since you're working on partnerships and we know that METAHORSE is not yet live in the market, so what's all these partnerships recently at this moment? Like what's the idea behind doing it now, and what's the plan and things like that?
Cool. So this is actually not my first project with MetaHorse. I've done a previous project, which is a GameFi NFT project. And I think when we talk about 4 or 5 months ago, and the crypto market is still on the bull run, a lot of times there are still a lot of people in the market, right? Ultimately, building community was a different strategy altogether. And when we talk about how quickly crypto trend changes, right? I think ultimately the only way for us to keep it up for the project is to adapt to the trend of the crypto market. Meaning now when we talk about the trend is on a bearish market, right? Then of course you can't use the kind of strategy that you used 3 months ago, right? So you sort of like have to adapt to it, or even come up with extraordinary ideas. And I guess from what I've noticed back in the last 4 or 5 months, most projects started off as building a community, having a strong amount of community members in their community, and then bringing it on the table to partners and present it to sort of like provide the kind of assurance or credibility, I would say, that allows investors to invest in the project. And I think how different I would say for METAHORSE right now is that we started off by going to a lot of events in Dubai, in terms of crypto events such as Meta Week, Crypto Expo, AIBC Summit, WOW Summit, and there's a few more I'm actually attending in the next couple of days. So what I'm trying to say here is that by going on the ground, we're actually meeting project owners or even the C-level executives on the ground, talking to them face to face, and really learning and exchanging ideas on how different projects are actually sort of improving the overall space for the crypto blockchain space. And through these interactions and comments and feedback that we receive from one another, that helps us in understanding what exactly the crypto space is expecting from projects. And I see that how a lot of projects has also sort of created an ecosystem now. Previously we talked about DAO system. It's all more into a community base where it's only for the community members. But you'd be surprised to hear a lot of companies now in the crypto space is actually trying to create like a DAO system for companies, meaning multiple companies coming together as a DAO system. And I think that's the whole idea of decentralization. And then I'm really excited to see how this goes in the near future for more companies. And I guess that would also lead me to how we actually partnered up with OG Tokens. I had a call, really shout out to Kek. If you guys look at the chat on the call now, you can see this legend here called Kek. He was the one that connected to me, to Joey and Jawad from OG Tokens. And I think from that, I have learned, the idea of tokenizing marketing support into a project. And I see that how after conversation with Joey, and then I decided that this will be a right partnership for us to move forward on project, as well as supporting projects who have aligned goals and passion for the blockchain space. And it is just such an amazing experience to just connect with people on these kind of experiences, which you rarely see it on the corporate world. I guess for me, crypto space works really fast. So I think that's something that really excites me as well for what I need to do. So yeah, I guess I cover on OG Tokens partnership as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I guess shout out to Jin, aka Kek. He seriously, I think he's always very helpful, and there's actually a lot of really good people in the space like that as well that likes to connect one dot to another. And I think the more this happens within the community here, regardless of how small, there's a huge ripple effect that we will go through. So thanks for bringing us through on what you are doing with partnership. And we're really happy to be partners as well. I think that's something that we do want to say out loud. So I guess let's focus on MetaHorse. Okay. So I know that there's many things that is going on with MetaHorse, what the game is about and all that. So bits and pieces here and there. I know that the game will be launched in September 2022, at least estimated, right?
Yeah.
So there will be play to earn version, and there will be people who would invest in it. So what's the idea behind that, and what's the difference, and what are we expecting from the game?
Okay. Before we even get into the idea of the game, I think the team and the co-founding team, such as like METAH, John, and myself, we took approximately about 2 to 3 weeks really dissecting what are the challenges that we see in the crypto space, especially GameFi projects. Now we realized that a lot of games, the only way for a gamer to play, I would say to get rewarded, is to play the game. You earn the tokens from the ecosystem, and then you liquidate the token by converting into a much more relevant token, which is your USDT or USDC. These are the tokens that when you convert into your fiat, fiat currency, that's when you can actually utilize the money back in the real world, right? And I think that was something that really sparked the question in terms of why we started MetaHorse. If we were to talk about an ecosystem that is allowing members to just get the tokens out from the ecosystem and liquidating them on the market, which means over time it wouldn't really be sustainable unless you have such a strong branding to the point where any new users that come in, they will spend the same amount of money that the user is liquidating on the market in order to find a balance between the supply and demand, right? Now, then it comes to the idea of how can we find a way to integrate the GameFi economy as well as the economy in the world. And that's how the idea of MetaHorse is made, right? As you own the NFT to play the game. So I'll break it down into 2 parts here, right? You have one part which is for the investors, I would say, which are for more of the long-term holders, and you have the part where for the gamers, that is more on like the short-term gain. So, for example, for the investors, if you were to come in to purchase the NFTs, you can actually earn a real horse. And how to do that is by spending your tokens within the ecosystem and getting it locked, and then coming it back to the game pool for the gamers to actually earn the token. We will actually give you the chance to level up your horse, and once you reach a rank called the METAHORSE rank, that's when you are able to claim the real horse. And that requires time and effort, and of course it requires some form of token spending in the ecosystem in order for you to level up to the METAHORSE rank. Now, on the other hand, if you were to pick for the players that are playing the game just for the sake of quick games, we have this pool called breeding pool and playing, I think, gaming pool. So on a daily basis, we have an allocation of tokens just for players to actually play to earn. Meaning they can actually spend the time to just use the NFT to play the game, and obviously there will be an allocation, and if there are more players playing in the game, then the pie gets smaller. So what we're trying to say is that we have made in such a way where we have calculated the amount allocated for the community, as a share for them to play the game called the jogging mode. And then we have another one called the racing mode, which requires some spending of tokens, in which you can actually sort of like stake your tokens for a higher reward if you win a race. So these are the main two elements I would say for the time being, in terms of the gameplay experience for investors and the gamers.
Yeah, I think this is so interesting because like exactly what you mentioned, if people just keep playing to earn without putting money in, basically it's just constant dump on your liquidity, and you got to find ways to keep feeding it, which doesn't make any sense. So it still loops within the ecosystem, which is really cool. So how does the token utility inside the game exactly work? So we know that you say that there's different breeding method and all that. So how would the tokens connect? Like how would the utilization look like?
Sure. Now we have up to 5 game modes if you look at on our white paper on the website. The jogging mode, the racing mode, and another few more modes like the tournament mode. So we made it in such a way where you have an option to not spend the tokens if you don't want to, but you can actually share a pool of allocation of tokens with the rest of the players in the ecosystem. That's called the jogging mode. Then you have the racing mode, where it's sort of like a mini tournament on a daily basis, where you need to spend a little bit more tokens in order for you to get a higher reward. So meaning out of the 10 players you play together in a race, the top 3 are considered winners. So of course the top one will get the higher rewards, and then the second one will get the medium level reward, and then the third one will get lesser reward from there. So how it works is that, let's say I spend X amount of entry fee for racing mode, and then when I win top 1, top 2, top 3, then I will get my reward from that. So if you were to look in the other perspective, we are trying to gamify the idea of staking through our game mechanism. So for example, I believe most of us understood like how staking works, right? I allocate some of my tokens into a pool with the other members within like a shared pool, right? And for a period of time, I locked my token. I couldn't withdraw it, let's say 14 days or 30 days, or things like that. And how I get rewarded is through the APR or the APY. So in our case, it's very similar to it, which we gamify it, which we allow users to use their token in the ecosystem in order for them to play the game, rather than taking out the game and then like we feed them with the token and then they take it out of the ecosystem. So that's what we're trying to do with our token utility, one of it. And the second utility, of course, it comes with the breeding feature that we have for the game, that allow players to sort of breed more NFT horses. So for example, if you get 2 sets of NFTs, then you can breed for another 1 NFT. And that requires the tokens, so, and one of the utility. And then we have the fusion mechanism, which is having 2 horses to sort of like fusion to become 1. And that also requires the kind of mechanism, the utility for the token. I guess the other utility that comes along with it, I would say, is on our marketplace, that allow users to trade horses NFTs. So for example, you have the highest ranking horses, but you don't have the right colors. So with the coin, then you are able to sort of trade with other members on our marketplace, which we are trying to encourage the token to be within the ecosystem. And yeah, I think that's a few utilities that we like to share for now. And also we are looking into how we can tokenize and provide a utility for the community to build like a DAO system, so that the community members can hit in terms of how we can move forward in the future for the project.
Wow. Well, although you say that it's just for now, but you know, it's actually very solid utility because it flows from one stage to another. So even as the first version, I would say it's already really well done, right?
Yeah,
I can see myself playing this a lot, and hopefully it doesn't take my time away from project work. So I'm just thinking in terms of a gaming perspective. So two little things that I as a gamer, I think people will be really interested to know is daily quests. So a lot of games they have like daily quests where you can earn something out of it. Will it be the same where we would earn some tokens from some quests? Okay.
Yes. So the jogging mode is made specifically like a daily quest, which was what I mentioned that they don't need to spend anything for them to get a reward out of it. So all you need to do is just, I think ultimately what we're trying to do is to ensure that the gamers and users are locked in our ecosystem on a daily basis. So that's why we made the jogging mode. It's sort of like a free to play to earn kind of mechanism, where you just have to come in and then log into your NFTs and play the game. And from that shared allocated pool that we made, about 100,000 tokens per day, that's when if you are early, then of course you can get a bigger share out of it. But if you are late, then and as the community grow bigger, then the pie gets smaller for everyone. So that's what we did for a daily quest kind of mechanism, which is your jogging mode in our gameplay.
Very nice. So I guess I'll be jogging a lot every day. Not in real life, but okay. So will this only be available in PC? Will you guys have an app in future for Android or iOS?
Okay, we will start off with the PC, building it on PC first, mainly because the overall gameplay experience will be much more making sense for us to do it on a PC because we have a larger screen. But you know, as to how technology moves and evolves, I don't think we should leave out on the idea of having it on mobile, and that will be something that we will work on in a later stage as we progress. Because we understood like most of us would carry a handphone when we go out, right, rather than we'll carry our desktop or laptop. So, and I think it's no doubt that we actually spend more time on our phone nowadays, especially with the newer generation. You got your TikTok. Most of us already spend so much hours on it, and then you have your Instagram, you have your WhatsApp, Telegram, all on your phone as compared to on the laptop. So I think. Yeah, we will definitely look into building it on Android and iOS in the long run. But the key focus for the start, we'll start it on PC first.
Okay. So that sounds good because I like computer gaming. I guess it's one screen for work, one screen for games. Okay, so I guess we really want to know the juicy details of when this is happening, like the pre-sale, the NFT, the public launch, right? I mean, after all, we all want to know when this is happening.
Okay. I think we've been already talking to a few partners already. We even have, if you look at our website on the partners section, we have Brotherhood Ventures, who is actually one of the quite well-known venture capitalists in the crypto space, as one of our strategic partners. We are not exactly going around just selling all our tokens yet. We're still very much focused on building our community members, making sure that there is a demand for it. And ultimately, when we have a very strong community member who believe in the project, that's when we are ready to sell our token, because we know by selling our token to these people and private investors, they see the value in holding the tokens rather than just trying to make a quick buck for pre-sale price, and then once this PGE comes, we're just going to liquidate the token. And that's what we were trying to avoid ultimately as a project as a whole, because as we have the community members who first believe in us, that took us to a next level in getting investors and stuff. We should also prioritize in terms of their effort in believing in us, and not just hoping that we can make a quick buck out of it. And then at the end of the day, when investors dump the coin, then the community members are the one that suffers the most. So yeah, I would say we are right now sometime between April and June. That's when the timeline I would give for our pre-sale, private sale, public sale, NFT sale. We don't have an exact timeline, but do stay tuned on our social media and also Telegram page. That's where we will constantly keep you guys updated on that.
For sure. And we will also share your updates over here with the community. That's something that we can definitely do to show some support. And I will, because I'm going to be playing the game. So I need people to be in there to fight with me. Okay. It looks like it's such a major project because, just the gamifying the game itself, the structure, the development, the background work, and so many things that you guys are doing in the background. How many people actually are working on this?
Wow, I think it's quite a big team that we have right now. I think we have almost close to 12 people in Dubai, and then we have a team back home in Malaysia. So when I use the word home, I just hope some of you know that I'm actually from Malaysia, right? So we have a team in Malaysia, then we have a team here in Dubai, and I was just really thankful to the team in terms of we speed up really fast in getting community members, sort of like community managers. I think we have up to 100 members on our team page on the website, where these 100 members are sort of like our forefront members on our Telegram page, on our community, helping us to moderate the community and giving us the kind of feedback. Ultimately, really, they are the ears for us in understanding what the community wants from the project. Many a times when each of us are so focused with our daily tasks and roles, we can't really spend all the time on Telegram, chatting with our community members. So shout out to all of these community leaders that have been putting in the effort, even at this hour, just making sure that people are responded with the right answers and getting people to involve in the community as a whole. I think you could say we have about close to about 120 people on the team so far.
Wow, that's a lot of money to until the project is starting. So we know that there is something big cooking at the background for sure, guys. This is when you know that it's not just a 1 day or 1 week pump kind of project. Very cool. I think you've shared a lot of information with us, and we've asked you a lot from our end as well. Let's open it up to the community. If anyone wants to speak, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat and I will ask it. Yeah, I think tonight's crowd is a lot quieter than just now. Just now it's like Are you guys good? Oh, Mark wants to speak. Okay, let me unmute Mark. Hi, Mark. I've unmuted. Allowed you to speak.
Sorry.
Hey.
Actually, I have a tendency to just sort of, I've got an itchy trigger finger, so sometimes I just press the button. I don't really have any questions. I came into the AMA late. It's more of a comment. I like to see the AMAs happening like this. So, I would like to see them continue so that I can, of course, pop over and continue to watch, because I think it's great what you're doing. And from what I understand of the project so far, I'm pretty hyped on it. So, yeah, no questions. It's more of a comment.
Oh,
thank you so much, Mark.
Keep up the good work.
Very kind of you to stop by too. I wasn't expecting you to be here, but I'm glad you're here.
Well, look, actually, like I said, I do think that you've got a really cool project. I like it. And so why wouldn't I be here, Why would I not? Why would I miss out on something? Yeah, there we go. And show a little bit of support. So it's the least I can do.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, let's.
It's not asking any question yet, he's been asking for cat horse time.
Yeah, I think there is a question in the community by Bune. I think that's from your community. I'm not sure. How is the upcoming project different? Well, it's distinct from other cryptocurrency projects. What are the advantages of choosing METAHORSE? So what's your unique selling point, I guess?
That's a really great question. I've got a lot of people asking about this. Initially, when we start building the community, everyone is saying, so you're just another horse game. So are you like, I don't want to mention names, but I believe we all know there are a lot of horse games in the NFT games, GameFi world. How I would say we are a little bit different. Okay, so that's a great question. Now, when we talk about a lot of GameFi NFT projects, back to my first few questions earlier, there's only one economy for us to sort of like sustain the whole ecosystem, right? And we have seen projects that are having even multiple tokens to support their ecosystem. You have tokens that are unlimited supply with the cross-chain tokens as well to support their ecosystem. And that was something that we didn't want to go with that route. Hence, we came up with the dual economy, which is the economy from the GameFi world, which is the NFT GameFi ecosystem. And we try to find an integration by having the real horses value in the real world, ultimately, which is the real economy, syncing together and forming a balanced ecosystem. So what I'm trying to say is that by owning the NFTs that from METAHORSE, these horses NFTs are actually backed by real horse value in the real world. So that's, I would say, one of the key advantages for METAHORSE. And I would like to add on is that we have also allocated a pool specifically for players to just get rewarded by playing the game without needing to spend too much of money for you to start. Some games it requires on a daily basis to spend money to actually win more. But in our case, we allocate a specific pool just for the players to come and play for free and so get rewarded by it. So I think that are one of the few key advantages that we have in METAHORSE project here.
Cool, thank you. So I think without much, I think one major thing that do stand out is you actually get a horse. That's like a major part of the whole deal. Horses are really expensive. Really expensive. So I can see there's someone typing and there is actually a question here. What are your plans on how to increase the demand and scarcity of META tokens in the near future?
Yeah. So it comes back to the idea of I mentioned the jogging mode, right? So jogging mode, we have made it and designed it in such a way that we are giving out to the community to come into the ecosystem. Now, when you play to earn from that pool of allocated tokens, for example, every day you only got 100,000 tokens from METAHORSE to give out to the community, right? And when there are more people coming in to play the game, then the pie gets smaller. And of course, when you want to start earning more, then you will move on to our racing mode, right? That's when you need to pay a little bit more entry fee with the hopes of having better NFT horses with higher tier ranking. That's when it allows you to win more races. And from there, when you win more races, then you will have more rewards of the META token. Okay? Now, in terms of all these tokens that you win and you spend, right, we don't exactly liquidate tokens. When you spend in our ecosystem, these tokens will be locked for 365 days. It will lock into a pool called the breeding pool, where it will be locked for 365 days. And once by doing this locking, right, we are actually decreasing the overall supply that is in the market. which also increase the value of token because it's still within in our ecosystem. And by doing that, when we lock for the period of time, once it's done locking, we will actually contribute back to the game mode, which I call the jogging mode, for us to give it out to the players again, once again. So we can sort of like increase over time by having more tokens locked, or sort of like having a higher TVL, which is a total value lock. And then that will determine how much can we give out on a daily basis, depending on how many players are in our ecosystem as well. Of course, we would love to give everyone a bigger share of the pie, but in order for us to sustain the ecosystem, we need to ensure that the tokens are within the ecosystem and not on the exchange or either in the CX, because if that's the case, then it requires people to buy more tokens and then bring it back into the ecosystem. So I guess that's a way in terms of how we increase the demand for it, because when it's locked, then you need to buy it from the exchange to bring it back into the ecosystem, because you can't take it out from the ecosystem. So that's how we actually try to ensure the value of Meta token in the near future.
Cool. So I was just trying to wrap my head around the whole idea that we can go to different mode. So for example, if I am in the racing mode now, can I go back to the jogging mode, or I have both modes available for me?
Both modes are available for you, but in order for the racing mode, which is like you need to spend like an entry fee, the minimum requirement is the level 3. So for the starters, we require you to sort of like upgrade your horse, which also comes back to the idea of spending your tokens within the ecosystem in order for you to play racing mode. So instead of using your token to spend it or liquidate it on the exchange, we try to encourage you guys to use within the ecosystem to level up your horse for racing mode, and that's how you're another gateway to earning more tokens, rather than trying to make a quick buck and then liquidating them in the market. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. I guess being early has a lot of benefits, so I can make a lot of horses from beginning at a low price. Hear that, guys? Do it early. So okay, I like this question. He's a regular in our chat. Big Snore said,
Okay.
we see OG and METAHORSE collaboration on an NFT collection.
100% from my side. I would love to see how we can collaborate on an NFT collection. Of course, we are still not even done with our NFT fair, and I don't want to overpromise the community in terms of what we can do, because then we come out as trying to oversell the whole idea of METAHORSE, right? But in terms of collaboration, we are already having this kind of feedback from our partners, and I'm just really excited to see how we can collaborate in terms of maybe in our design of the next batch of NFTs, we can have an exclusive range of design NFTs with our partners specifically, just because I see the value that they supported us when we are early, and I think this is something that I'd like to explore in the near future with my partners on how we can design our NFTs that represents both partnerships. So yeah, I think Big Snow, I hope that would answer your question for the time being, but I don't exactly know how it's going to work out, but yes, I would love to see that happen someday.
That's very cool. Imagine a red color OG horse.
Yeah.
Like
cool.
a bonita.
I like that.
No, I think that's collaboration for NFT is definitely cool. I was just poking around thoughts when that happened, when you were explaining, right? Will you be like one part of the upgrade in future? Just a suggestion, maybe like putting on accessory on the horses, like a saddle, right? That can maybe upgrade the horses. There's so many things that you guys can do, no?
Yeah, that's actually one of the ideas the team has been working on. Already. But I think ideas are easy, right? For us to come up with crazy ideas, but when we talk about the synergy between the whole ecosystem, from working on smart contract development, the ecosystem as well, and tokenomics more importantly, and overall gameplay. I think that's why we even did the feature of breeding and fusion, because breeding, that sort of increase the supply of NFTs in the ecosystem, and fusion is also like 1 + 1 become 1. So we sort of like decrease the supply of the NFT. So that was the balance of why we had the breeding and fusion feature. So yeah, I would say we will definitely look into how we can have this kind of upgrade for the NFTs in the future. That's what we're trying to build, right? We talk about metaverse and stuff. The sky's the limit, I would say.
Yes. You said the sentence right before it came out of my mouth. I was literally thinking of the same thing. There's just unlimited amount of things that you guys can do. It can be maybe a horse fashion show. Who knows?
You see like some of the projects now, they are doing a fashion week on Decentraland, and I think you see brands like Tommy Hilfiger, one of the major corporate brands that are actually having their booth in there, and then you see brands like Nike getting into artifacts. I think you will have celebrities like Snoop Dogg on Sandbox itself, so I'm not surprised if we can upgrade anything in the future, but of course we got to make sure that we're not here just to try to sell anything to the community. We want to make sure that anything that we sell really contributes back to the gameplay experience, as well as the metaverse experience. So yeah.
Love that assurance that you gave. At least we know for sure, you guys, the thought process is to make sure that it's still relevant to what you guys want to do in the end. That's very commendable, because not a lot of people start to stray sometimes, when they think of ways of expansion. But retaining and sustainability is equally as important when you're growing. I really like that. So Ozan here asked something about partnership. So we did touch on partnership in the beginning. And Joseph did say that, it's an important thing that we are doing right now and building. But one question is perhaps, I guess, is for you to share up to this progress right now. Who are your partners? And what are the benefits that you get from those relationships? Like, other than here, of course, like different people.
Sure. So let's just start off with OG Token, since you are on the call here, right? So Ozan, just to answer you, the reason why we partnered with OG Token is because when Joey shared with me the idea of a crypto marketing support and tokenizing it in a project, I think that's really somewhat eye-opening to me. So from my past experience on other projects, usually we go with the traditional way. We engage with a crypto marketing agency, sort of like a PR media agency, right? And then you tell them your goals and your milestones, and then they will come back to you with a proposal, and then with all these digital marketing plans and social media plans, and that's it. You guys are just functioning like a business altogether. You pay me for a certain fee, and then I have you out with your plans. But I think when I talk to Joey about the partnership, it's sort of like, how can both of us come in together and build each other's support in terms of growing together, right? And I guess that was the real reason why we decided to partner with OG Token, mainly because Joey has a very strong background in marketing and branding himself. And, they are a different set of community members there as well. And I guess just really bridging the gap between people who love the crypto space, coming from different backgrounds, but that doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, we still come back to one thing. We are here for the same goal and business, which is having a decentralized sort of ecosystem. And I guess partnership that really brings additional values to the project, that's something that I always look out for. So, and to share with you on some of the other partnerships that we have, we recently partnered up with WellUps as well on our website, if you can look at it. So WellUps is one of the projects that I came across in Dubai. They are actually trying to form a DAO system of companies across the blockchain space. So what they did was previously they have a few companies that provide them a protocol services, exchanges services, and now they are looking into partnering with GameFi projects. And within this ecosystem, everyone has support with your media support, you have your marketing strategy support, and everyone has equally the shared access to the right kind of partners in taking the project to the next level. And of course, in the future, we'll talk about how we can partner up with well-known venture capitalists that has the right network to the right CEI for us to do our IEO, the right indexes that can do our IDO, and even marketplaces for us to get the right exposure for our NFT sales. So I guess in terms of partnership, there's really a lot of opportunities coming up. I've seen a lot of projects with different crazy ideas nowadays. One of the key highlights from my last few weeks here was seeing projects having the cross-chain in terms of like marketplace that allows people to go on different chains now. I think the bridging, different sort of chains that will be a game changer for a lot of projects in the future. So yeah, I guess really open to a lot of partnerships and just making sure that we are aligned in terms of what we want to achieve as a whole.
Sounds good. I guess, of course, on the site, we did talk about WellUp and whatnot. And I'm really glad that just from very early beginning, before even establishing the project on its own, like not live in the market, you guys have already secured different partnerships. And I know that there's much more to come in the coming weeks that I'll be watching. So I think we'll take 2 more questions. Then perhaps we can let you rest because I know it's one session earlier, and this, since we have it recorded, we can push that out back to the group, and I'm sure you'll answer if they have questions in the group. We can always tag you and whatnot.
Sure.
Okay, so so Choco Butter Not said, as for investment, how can you ensure the investors that are holding this token is more beneficial for long term? So why should it be a long term hold?
Cool. Okay, Choco Butter, great question. I love this kind of question. Okay, for example, if I were to invest, let's say for example, I just buy an NFT now, right? I spend $1,000 buying NFT. And when we talk about the real horse value in the real world, take a guess how much it would cost. I think Joey would know already, well familiar with horses, right? When we talk about a real race horse, right, in the real world, it could cost up to maybe approximately, I would say, 50 to 100 or even 200 or even more. Like, we're talking about thousands, And if I were to buy an NFT for a price of, let's say, $1,000 or $2,000 US, how long will it take me to actually make the kind of money by playing the game? But if I play the game and I have the opportunity to earn a real horse, wouldn't that be much more beneficial for the long term rather than liquidating tokens in a quick exchange for USDT value? So I guess that's how we're trying to bridge the gap between having players who just want to make quick buck. Of course, you can do it in like liquidating them on the market. But if you have a horse actually very close to the rank for you to achieve the METAHORSE rank to earn a real horse, I think it makes a lot of opportunity for you if you were to look in the long term by playing the game and earn a real horse. And the value of the horse itself will be so much more than liquidating the quick profit that you have from playing the game.
Heavy, very heavy today. A lot of, I think the second round has been a lot more serious than.
I noticed that too.
The second round felt like, very, very strong ones. So I think we'll end the note with a really strong one as well, from Snaky. I don't know if this is true. I probably have to verify it as we speak. But here he said, where do you see the future of NFTs in the next 10 years? As the Thailand government has also banned NFTs and meme coins, other countries may follow it. How do you see this? Is that true?
Yeah, I was following this news very closely with my friend from Thailand. I think Snakey, if you're from Thailand, I believe you know this exchange called Bitcup. Is one of the up and coming exchange in Thailand themselves. And if I'm not wrong, my friend told me they are the ones that started this whole trend of allowing a citizen of Thailand to pay using cryptocurrencies even on your retail stores. Like you go to your 7-Eleven and stuff like that, you can actually pay with crypto. And I think that was, having countries that actually allow all these things to happen, like having exchanges to be there, and having this kind of development in the crypto space. But I don't see this as a real challenge because I think, like it or not, in the next 10 years, I believe, the mode of transaction will definitely evolve from just having a cash transaction. And ultimately, if you have a majority of the population that wants to be paid in such a way, they got no choice but to adapt to it or giving an option. Of course, I won't denounce the idea of cash transaction. I think it will still be around for quite some time. Cash has been used by the population for quite a while, and NFTs and crypto we're talking about just so recent. And I think governments will take a little bit more time for them to realize that there is a future to this space, and it just take 1 or 2 more big countries to just allow this to happen. And I think most of the other countries will sort of follow through. So I'm positive about that.
And I support what you're saying so much, Joseph, because I don't know if you read news back home. Just yesterday, I think the communications minister is trying to push Malaysia to accept crypto as a legal tender and also promote NFTs to boost tourism. So it's becoming a thing even on the homeland, which we usually think that Malaysia would be a bit slow on the uptake when it comes to matters like this. So I don't think Thailand would stay that long in that space because I see news in October. It seems that they are taking a new approach. I would think perhaps potentially speculation. It has to do with the ability to tax in the end. There's really no real reason why would you restrict NFTs, seeing that it's basically a digital identity of someone's ownership towards a certain media file. So yeah, that's odd. Do you have anything perhaps that we did not cover today in the 2 sessions that you want to share before we let you go? Don't run away.
I think it's very fun to have this kind of sessions with partners that share the same goals. I think ultimately, I think from the first call itself, we really clicked really well in terms of after sharing each other's project and understanding all together. And I'm just going to say that be patient with us a little bit. We're still a pretty new project, and at this point of time in the bearish market, we're not trying to rush so much in terms of what we're trying to do, like with all the token sale and NFT sale. We're just really more focused on building the right kind of community members, people that believe in the idea of it. And I would encourage people to start really paying the close attention to what we're trying to do here, right? Because we do see some form of I wouldn't say flaw, but a challenge to having community members that are earning the coins and then just liquidating the tokens. I mean, from an economic standpoint, a business standpoint, that doesn't really resonate with me very well, because you're taking out the tokens from the ecosystem and then hoping that someone else would spend more money to bring it back into the ecosystem. And that's why with METAHORSE, we're really trying to build something that integrates the economy of the GameFi world as well as the real economy in the real world. And I hope that this is something that would give you guys an idea about how things would be sustainable in the long run. So yeah, I guess that's something I hope that everyone would actually take notice of METAHORSE in the whole picture.
Yeah. And we right here, all your partners that are with you, or even our partners, we will try to, of course, push as much as possible when you guys come fire blazing when you want to launch and whatnot. But even then, till then, in between any support, connections, community support, suggestions, we'll always make sure that we keep that and we'll keep in touch. I know this is not your last session here, as in you will come back. So you're a familiar face in the crowd, in the group. So I really want to thank you for spending time with our community. The earlier session and today, I think it's investment of time is something that is, for me personally, is much more valuable than money, because time is something you cannot take back. And obviously, we are all here to make a difference in our life, but doesn't mean we are donating all our time. So I guess from the community side, let's give a big round of applause to METAHORSE's team, especially Joseph, for going through 2 sessions all in one day.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here. My pleasure to be here as well.
So let's start a trend here, guys. You're getting lazy. Thank you, Joseph. Here, click it. Show some support if you're listening. Click it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Well, guys, please head on to METAHORSE's Telegram. They do have special giveaways. They are having multiple giveaways, actually. One specifically for the OG community, and obviously they have a bigger one that they give out $10,000 worth of items, and I think money and tokens and a combo of things. So please go check it out and share the news out. Keep an eye out. Remember the name most importantly, because that's the whole point we're here today. So that every time you hear about METAHORSE, you know where it came from.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Please, let's keep in touch. And if you need anything at all, just hit us up.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Jawad, for your time. And shout out to the
Joseph
community. See you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
See you next time.
Bye. Bye.